In this video, I'm going to tell you why I do CrossFit, why I've done CrossFit for the last 5 years, and how you might be able to dispel some myths or assumptions about CrossFit just based off my experience and different perspectives of experiencing that gym. So, some people might be kind of shocked or intrigued as to why I do CrossFit since I definitely give off a more nerdy look to me with my glasses and everything. And they might not picture me as someone who would go into a CrossFit gym, which is something they may picture as filled with these intimidating muscular jocks that are slamming weights around. Now, to your point, if you had asked me anytime before those 5 years, I probably would also tell you, yeah, this is not for me. This is just not my group. That's intimidating. Like, I don't know if they would even welcome or include me. And I definitely had a sense that this was like, oh my gosh, intimidating, too hardcore, or just maybe not my tribe or fit. But if you were to come to my CrossFit gym, you realize that that's not exactly at all what is actually going on in my gym. And at my gym, you have people of all different generations, grandparents, parents, mothers, fathers, children. You have people of all shapes and sizes, many of them complete beginners or relatively new or some intermediate. And they have all different levels of fitness. Many of them, as I mentioned, all shapes and sizes. Some needing to lose a lot of weight, some coming in trying to put on muscle. And on top of that, it's a very welcoming communal thing because, not most of the people there are not these people you see on Instagram who are just throwing around hundreds of pounds. No, they're just starting out, or they're just not really someone. Some of them have been there for a couple years and they're still just on very attainable weight levels. In fact, a lot of them are people who have come together and decided to scale the workouts appropriately to what they're capable of doing and doing it together in a group setting. And so that's one thing. And then another thing is every gym is unique. How the CrossFit company works is there's affiliates. So basically you pay for a small, or I guess a portion of your sales from what I hear. I'm not a gym owner, so I don't know the specifics, but a portion of your sales go to that brand. But then within that gym, you have a lot of leeway for how to do certain things. That's why you might have a CrossFit that's named a bunch of random things. And so for my gym, we have a big banner on our wall that says form above all else. And so our gym very much focuses on technique and form above all else. And so another kind of thing that's often ragged on is how CrossFit causes a lot of injuries and they don't focus on form or technique. At least for my specific gym, that's not the case. Now, I'm not here to say that CrossFit is perfect or anything like that. There's definitely a lot of things that I will even argue with fellow people at my gym about. One of them being that I definitely think that it still has a higher rate of injury. And maybe that's not due to the sport. Maybe it's due to the people and not really themselves handling and learning and listening as effectively. But that is a thing that I will debate and stand my ground on. Sometimes I will back off just to not get into a huge argument, but I'm saying that CrossFit definitely isn't perfect. Yeah, I think that was one thing. Some people will argue back saying, well, it's not the sport, it's just the people, they're not practicing it properly. Or, another argument I'll get is, well, if you step out the door, you could be hit by a car, everything has risk. That doesn't, and my counter argument, which I guess they don't hear or really understand or acknowledge, is that, like, sure, everything has risk, but different things have varying amounts of risk. and higher probabilities of undesirable risk. Swimming versus CrossFit. Which one has a higher injury rate? They both have risks. You can arguably still get injured from both sports, but one has a much less stress on your joints and your body parts. So that, with all of that being said, I think that's some of the main reasons I do CrossFit. Well, to be more specific, the communal feel. I used to go to a commercial gym, and I went to college gyms, and quite frankly, going to Planet Fitness or LA Fitness or Lifetime or anything else, 24-hour fitness, sure, it has a lot of robust equipment, oftentimes a lot more than CrossFit, to be honest. Like, we're working with barbells and wooden boxes and rowing machines mostly, and a limited set of dumbbells, and we're paying a lot more. But I chose, and I've mentioned this in my previous blog posts and stuff, I chose to do it because of my own mental health and my own longing for social connection. If you're spending all day at work fairly alone, and then you go to the gym fairly alone, and sure, you can try and reach out and be friends with someone at a commercial gym, but that's not the culture and the feel of a commercial gym. They're there to work out. They have their headphones on. They don't like talking to strangers because they treat everyone else at the gym as a stranger. And you don't really generally make friends there. Plus, you usually never see them again. You may see them once a month, but I guess because people don't go to the gym regularly or they go at different times, you may just see them irregularly. But I felt like with CrossFit, you saw more regulars and they had that more communal feel. And it was much more normal to talk to them and make friends and then see them regularly. Obviously, once again, it has its tons of pros and tons of cons. So, yeah, there's a very high turnover rate. A good portion of people will not stay around. They may stick around for a couple weeks, a couple months, maybe a couple years, but then they'll bounce. And it's very normal. And they'll leave without a whisper sometimes. And I don't really like that. But with all that being said, I felt it was better than going to a commercial gym for that social bond. And yeah, some of them, after they finish their workout, they won't cheer for you and they just leave. But more or less, enough people stick around, enough people are regulars that you do get some level of communal feel there. So that's one part. The added benefits of having actual coaches there, some of them who have competed on the regional, state level, or national level, and giving you feedback and how you can improve or tweak certain things, that all has a impact on me going there too. I also thought it was just a nice change of pace, because you get to do all these fun workouts rather than the same repeated set of exercises year after year. 3 sets of curls, 3 sets of presses, 3 sets of tricep extensions. It can get kind of boring because, arguably the bodybuilding world has a more rigid set of things you can do. And so, will I be doing CrossFit for the rest of my life? No. I know some grandparents who will. For me, I think it will be something that I'll be keeping more attention to, because the injury rate, like it or not, is relatively higher than stuff. So I can see myself tapering down or stopping maybe one day. But I don't think I'll ever completely stop it, because I think there's such a communal feel, and there's so much about, flying to different places and visiting them, going to Iceland, visiting CrossFit Reykjavik, and then going to, Bali and visiting CrossFit Wanderlust, because each different gym has its own feel. It's almost like going to Venice Beach and Gold's Gym. Whereas, for most chain gyms, they don't have that. But also it's the community, it's the people there, it's the uniqueness of the activities there. And there's a long list of pros and cons, as I mentioned. They did kind of, I think a couple years ago, it was last year, the founder of CrossFit made one tweet where he basically made a racist tweet, and because of that, a lot of CrossFit athletes withdrew from the games. A large portion of CrossFit gyms withdrew from the CrossFit brand, and so now they don't have the CrossFit name in front of it. It'll just be like, instead of CrossFit Atlanta or CrossFit New York, for instance, some of them have just turned into New York Fitness, or something, because they can't use that brand and they don't want to because of what happened. But long story short, I think those are some of the main reasons I do CrossFit. I think the biggest one out of anything are the social connections and relationships and friendships I've made there. I'm not super good at making friendships, and it's not about the quantity, because I'm not good at making tons of high quality long-term friendships, but that's okay. I have a few good friends that I've made there. I mean, you could probably count them with my fingers. They're maybe even less than that, but those are some of my really good friends. And then I have larger levels of friendly acquaintances and so forth. And that's something that I don't think I would have ever made at my commercial gym. And that's really important. Some people whine and complain, and myself included, a little bit in my head, about how expensive it is and how I could be paying for luxury, herb spas with the same cost I'm paying for this gym membership. And it's really, at the end of the day, an investment in my mental health, because unless you can find a gym out there that has that same communal feel, which do exist. There's definitely a lot of family owned or individual owned gyms that are sprouting out nowadays with their own kind of gritty feel and that communal feel, that aren't chains. It's hard to get that, and I don't think I would have gotten that. I wouldn't have been able to form a lot of good friendships, good memories, and all this stuff if it wasn't for joining that gym. There's this one good friend I met there, and man, did we really learn a lot and experience a lot together. Because we found out we were both huge Pokemon Go fans, and a lot of big events and big things happened because we met at the CrossFit gym, and then we played for some of these big Pokemon Go events outside of that. So thanks for watching, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't try CrossFit. That's just my story.